Hi, this is Carolyn James from Holistic Campus, and I have with me here today a founding practitioner, and it's Sandy Alemian. How are you, Sandy?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm great on this beautiful snowy day. Now, I understand that you're a spirit guide, a soul guide, and a spirit medium. I'm sorry. Um, you've been doing this for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been 23 years now.
Oh, God bless you for that. Wonderful.
I never thought I'd be doing this work, Carolyn, ever.
Not in the beginning, no. So, how did you start? What happened?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian or a nurse.
Ah,
But I guess the way I look at it now is I'm a nurse for people's souls
oh, perfect.
and their hearts. Yeah, don't know about the veterinarian part. But yeah, my whole journey started 23 years ago, my spiritual journey, when my second daughter was born, my second daughter, Talia.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, she was born with a 1 in a million metabolic disorder,
Oh,
and she ended up dying at 31 days old. And
oh,
going through, I have goosebumps. It's been so long, and every time I share that, even though there's no more pain in my heart around it, just the experience was so profound. Going through that entire 31-day experience was so profound and so awakening for me that I still get goosebumps every time I share that.
and she's with you.
Always,
That's
she's
part
always
of
with me.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that going through that experience, and for anyone who's ever gone through a grief experience, whether it was a death of a loved one or a death of a dream or a relationship, there's a process of being broken open that you go through.
Yeah.
And some people will get stuck in the brokenness. And I found what happened for me in my brokenness. I found a connection to that which could never be broken. And that was a connection to my soul, a connection to spirit. And that was the game changer for me. And that's when I started. I needed to learn about mediumship. I needed to learn about what happens when you die, what is spirit. And so that's when I went on a journey, and I started getting these messages through my writing. I started learning how to tap into the energy of spirit and realized that I had an ability to do that. And I truly believe that every single one of us has that ability,
So
but
you
not
were
everybody can.
able to tap into all of it, and this particular issue just brought you to that. That's beautiful.
It brought me to it. I've been a writer all my life, like even starting in like first grade. I've had journals ever since I was a kid, diaries, but
Yeah.
I'm just complaining or talking about the boys I had crushes on way back when. But even like 5 years before Talia was born, I had been doing automatic writing with my angels. Um, and I was getting profound wisdom through my writing. And what's interesting, Carolyn, not once through my writing had any of my angels warned me or prepared me for
Really?
what I was about to experience. And I understand why. Because I believe if they had, I probably would have chosen to not get pregnant again. Talia was my second daughter. hmm And I
Oh,
believe that's
cool.
why we're not always shown what will happen. Oh, again, I'm getting goosebumps. What will
No.
happen that will break us open? Because who wants to go through the pain of being broken open? It's not fun. It's hard.
Right.
It's painful. However, it's the most beautiful opportunity to reawaken to that which you truly are, which is that soul essence that you are. And so the work that I do when someone is grieving, I tap into spirit with them and for them to bring a connection to their loved one. But the bigger part of my work is helping people as they're broken open or as they're awakening, tune in to the energy of their soul and its wisdom, because it's always there. We can't not be connected to our soul because that's who we are. But this world is so loud and distracting that our attention and our focus goes out there, and we think that what we need is out there. We spend a lot of our lives going out there to bring that thing in so that we'll feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And I show people how to do that differently by going in here first.
Oh, what a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's so when someone comes to you, I do they know what it is? Are they coming to you mostly for grief, or is it just I've seen you, I know you, I've seen you in action. I think you're wonderful.
I think you're wonderful too.
But it's is there are they coming to you for anything? It sounds like you can really get in there with people and
Yeah.
not just grief, right?
No, no. For the first probably 15 plus years, people only came to me when they were going through grief.
Mm.
Um, but the soul guide part has really been present in the last number of years. So some people will still come to me after they've gone through a loss. Um, but more and more people are wanting to work with me because they know something is off.
Yes.
They know that they're like the way that they're doing their life isn't working. They don't like what they feel. They sometimes know what they want to feel, but they don't know how to get from point A to point B.
Right. And it's
And
there and they want to
it's
move.
the path is always there. And again, they're looking out there to try and find something that will make them feel a certain way. And what I do is I help them come inside. I help them come home to themselves, because everything, every feeling that they desire to feel, the peace, the love, the joy, the compassion, the connection, it's there. It's here. But we haven't been taught in our society. We haven't been shown how to do it because our society has been an outward, externally based society. You get this, you feel a certain way. You do this thing, you feel a certain way. And I believe that that's backwards. And I'm living proof of it. I lived exactly that way, external focused for a long time. Even though I knew about the soul, it was still like, okay, here's what I know. And yet my life was, for a good part of it, was still externally based.
Yeah.
Whether it was trying to bring in that relationship so that I could feel whole, or trying to bring in that money so that I could feel more prosperous. And it's actually backwards.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. So when you think about the raising of the consciousness, if you will, which is really happening in so many places now, do you feel that that's what's opening people up? I mean, I know people yearn for it, but it's almost that now they're like, oh, maybe this is where I need to go. Do you
I
find
feel like I do. I feel like here's how I'm seeing it, Carolyn. It's almost like our soul, each of our souls are being activated to rise, right? And whenever anything is rising inside of us because it wants more expression, stuff has to come up. So what I'm finding in my private practice, sometimes people don't know why they want to come and see me. They just know that they have to, right? And all of their stuff is like bubbling up. And typically what people do in their stuff, whether it's anger or shame or fear or pain or guilt or grief, when that's bubbling up, if we're not conscious and if we're not aware, the tendency is, let me push that back down.
Yeah, something's wrong with me. Yeah.
Yes, I don't want anyone to see it, so we put up a mask. Oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Life is awesome. Look at the stuff I have. Right?
Yeah, I love that. I'm fine.
And yet inside there's a different story, and that can manifest with financial problems. That can manifest in someone who has a gift, but they can't. They don't know how to express it into the world, right? Or it can look like relationships being off. And so what's happening now is, as our souls collectively are wanting to have more expression, it's bringing up anything that hasn't been processed. And when people push that down, it doesn't go away, it just goes underground. And that causes even more problems in their lives, right? So we look at everything. When people work with me, we look at everything, and we bring healing to it pretty quickly.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because I'm sure people don't really realize what it is. And we are all in this box of, this is the way we're supposed to live and this is how we're supposed to feel.
Yeah, and it's not working.
No. And even now in the holiday season, it's the hyper-consumerism. And I think so many more people are feeling that way, that this is not what this is about. And I think you can relate that to your life. It needs to come from here first. And you said that about financial issues and relationship issues. Once that's healed, off you go.
Right. And sometimes, like I found in my own life, when something was coming up for me and I didn't know what it was, it's really a frustrating place to live. And I know a lot of people have been living in that place for a long time. Like they just can't quite put their finger on, well, why isn't this working? Like, why isn't my life working? Why aren't my relationships working? Why can't I figure out this financial piece of my life. Why do I keep repeating the same patterns? And very easily, because I work with spirit so closely, I'm able to connect the dots, and they go, oh my God, I never knew that was the belief I was holding on to.
Right.
Yeah, we just had a live 2-day event 2 weekends ago. And it was so beautiful, Carolyn, when someone would come up on stage with me, and like there was this one woman whose brother and nephew were shot randomly. It was just a random shooting, right? And it just happened 3 months ago. And she was filled with guilt and anger. Mm-hmm. And her nephew passed, her brother did not pass. But what she was holding on to was, a couple of years prior, she had gone to a medium, and the medium said to her, there's going to be an incident with your brother, and it's going to happen around September. Didn't know when. She said, and you're meant to stop it.
Oh,
I know. So I have goosebumps again. And she said, I wasn't able to stop it, and I have so much guilt. And so, I have such goosebumps, Carolyn. And so what I was able to do, as I was connecting with spirit, I helped her to come into a whole different understanding about death. One where she could understand. It wasn't me telling her, but it was me holding this space for her to really come into her soul's understanding about death, which was, it's not the end. And she was feeling and sensing her nephew, who was saying, I'm okay. I'm not angry. I'm okay. In fact, I'm here to help you and the family rise and emerge spiritually. And that was a game changer for her. Goosebumps. Once she could sense that, she could free herself of the guilt. There are so many soul truths that are embedded in our being and our soul essence, but we forget about them, right? We forget about them because we're so focused on stuff that's out there and the beliefs that we've been taught and the beliefs that we've bought into. They're not necessarily true.
right.
If they're painful, they're not true. And so when people access a deeper soul truth, it sets them free.
Yes. And I think there's a point when someone told me once, and I always hung on to this, when you're really ready, you're able to accept problems and thank them, because you're always on a much better place on the other side. Bring it on. Bring on the issues. Let's get them done and move on. It's amazing, the growth from that.
Yeah, and at some point when someone has really come into more of a fullness of their soul and its wisdom, the soul will show them, here's the gift and the experience. And when you can find the gift in the experience, you don't even have to let go of anger. You don't have to let go of guilt.
Yeah.
You just come into a space where it doesn't even exist anymore. Now, would I say that to a parent who is newly grieving? No, I wouldn't say that to them, because they're not in a space to be able to hear that. Right? For that person, I would be with them, and I would hold the space for them to unravel whatever it is that they need to unravel. So I think as a spiritual practitioner, I can feel where my client is at and what they're able to hear and what they can't hear yet. Because if I come in with a really high, deep spiritual truth and they're not ready to hear it, it will just bounce right off of them.
Yeah. And they could be frightened by it, but
oh my goodness. And they might close up or get angry. And that's certainly not what we're here for. We're here to set people free.
Well, thank you, Sandy. That was beautiful. It all makes so much sense. And I know you and I are going to do a little bit of a session in a little while, but thank you for sharing all that.
You're so welcome. I look forward to serving whoever it is in this community that I can serve. It's exciting. It's so exciting when people start feeling the energy of their soul and the wisdom that's there. And it's almost like, wow, that's been there all along. And I didn't know that. Like, there's an old parable that says there are these wise men who had all the answers to life. And they said, well, where should we place these answers? And one of them said, I know, let's place it on the highest mountaintop. Humans they'll never find it there. And one of the wise men said, I'm going to change it to wise women and men.
Oh,
But
good.
one of them said, no, they will find a way to scale that mountain and find the answers. And then another one said, I know, let's place it at the bottom, at the very depths of the deepest sea. They'll never, ever think to look there. And another one said, no, they'll find a way to get to it way down in the depths of the sea. And then the third one said, you know what? Let's place all that wisdom inside of themselves, because
Oh.
they never think to look there. But we're waking up to that. We're waking up to that. We know that.
Yes, I agree. Beautiful. All right, Sandy, we'll talk in a minute. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thanks, Carolyn.